have an invocation. I ask Robert to give an invocation there to give the pledge of allegiance.
If you would bow with me, let's pray. Dear gracious God, we come to you this evening, Lord. We're so thankful for your mercies. We thank you for your protection, keeping us safe today. Father, we ask as we go into this meeting that the decisions and the rulings that come from this board be beneficial to the community of Mount Pleasant and beneficial to the residents and all parties involved. We give you thanks and praise and ask all these things in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anything from Mr. Graham or Mr. Witt?
I have not. Let the minutes reflect. We do have another for morning, please. Item 3 on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Motion been made. Second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4, approval of minutes. Prior meeting, June 11, 2019.
We didn't meet last month. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes. And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, plat approvals.
There are none, Chair.
Number 6, rezoning request. Robert, you want to,
I can. We do have one party involved in the owner of the property, the current owner of the property is here. Property in question is 306 North Main Street,
yes.
intersection of First Avenue and North Main. That property is a residential structure, unoccupied at this time. And it's a R1, currently zoned R1, low-density residential. It's situated, if you're facing the house, to the left, residential properties. To the right is going to be a neighborhood commercial property. Across the street, neighborhood commercial. So it's at that intersection right there. The owner of the property is requesting it to be rezoned to neighborhood commercial. From my understanding, from talking with a prospective purchaser of that property, it is with the intent of combining two properties together and making one large commercial property in that vicinity, so it would be more marketable in that area. And Ms. Mann is, I think, representative of the owner, Ms. Vestal, and Mr. Kittrell, I do not see, is the prospective purchaser of said property.
So the property has not changed hands?
Okay. If the board has any questions for the owner, she is present right now in the audience and available to speak. I personally, just looking at the area, my recommendation would be that, I don't think there would be a problem with the rezone, simply because of the placement of where the structure is located. And currently, under the R1 designation, it would not meet requirements for lot size.
Right.
So combining those properties, I think, would be probably beneficial to all parties involved and the city as well. But once again, that's just an opinion from my office based on everything that we've got going on in that area. So.
Robert, just so the record will reflect, Ms. Graham is here, and Mr. Kittrell's gotten here too, since you mentioned his name.
Okay, very good. So both prospective buyer and current owner are in the audience. If the board has any questions for any of those two parties.
If this purchase goes through, does the, I'm assuming Kittle Park is the one that's looking at this, and stuff that goes to it. This house, will it be demolished or it be in
A couple of years down the road. Not instantly. That's the plan, though, yes.
So, to clarify, that if this is approved, this zoning would be equal to that of the lot next door?
Which is 302, which is owned by Kittrell Properties,
Yeah.
and it's neighborhood commercial. You're correct.
Is that the one on the corner?
Yeah.
That's the one, the old gas
Actually, it's like
station.
directly across from the old Pepe.
Yes.
Gas station.
An adjacent house sitting in the lot right next door. Just to let the minutes reflect, and also the board know, notification was sent to residents. It was over 40-plus letters, certified mail, within a 200-foot radius of that property. I've received several of them back that have been signed and received, several that have been unclaimed. There's approximately 20-plus that did receive the notification, for sure, by signature.
And there's been a sign up there as well.
There's a sign posted way in advance as well. And the only questioning I've had is from one person in the public that does not live close to the property. He had seen the specific sign and was asking what was going on. That was it. But once again, his property is not, would not be affected by erosion from this form. And nobody else has called that I can recollect.
For the record, Mr. Witt is here, and we're on the very first item on the agenda, so you know.
Okay, I apologize,
No problem.
son's birthday.
No worries.
Birthday party.
No problem. No problem. Discussion from the commission, you? Discussion on the property on Main Street,
Across from the,
Don Pepe there.
Former.
Yeah, the former Pepe.
obviously in rezoning sign.
Any questions?
Yes, in your packet, our attorney just reminded me, in your packet, as you will know, the comments were supplied to the board, and it does give specifications for the board's responsibilities when rezoning a property. They're listed out at the very bottom of those comments.
Good.
Chairman, I don't know that Ms. Granberry has that. Let me take a look at those comments.
No other discussion,
I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning request. I guess we pass that on to the full commission.
motion been made to pass it on. And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 7, annexation request.
There are none.
Item number 8, Robert, you want to have it?
I can. Mr. Anderson, with Anderson Machining, currently located, I believe, at 6920 Hoover Mason Lane. He's present in the audience, I believe, as well as his contractor. And I don't, yes, Mr. Vick is here as well, the engineer on the project. Have submitted a site plan for review from this board in reference to 6920 Hoover Mason Lane. And on the site plan, comments were provided to the board as well of our initial review. And Mr. Vick supplied a letter with changes on the site plan as well, detailing the changes that have been made, and also making note on the reply letter as to why the changes might not be necessary as reflected in our comments, particularly speaking to some landscaping. Landscaping is included, but it is not completely compliant with the zoning text in regards to what Mr. Vick submitted back. But considering that the location is on Industrial Park, or it's on Hoover Mason, and Industrial Park, if you've been out to the site, you can very well see there's a large tree line that separates the property from the street, along with a pretty steep hillside there. So to see the building or see any landscaping there, or to require any additional landscaping, in the opinion of my office, would be a moot point, simply because of the natural vegetation buffer that's there already. And you go to the Hoover Mason side, it's approximately 500 feet, if I'm correct, from the roadway, and there is contours in the land that as well shield the building. So the landscaping that's called out is all that's being proposed by Mr. Anderson and Mr. Vick on the site. The remaining items that were called out on comments were addressed by Mr. Vick. And both gentlemen are here in the audience this evening if the board wishes to ask any further questions. The only thing that I don't think we received was drainage calcs.
But
Mike,
if you didn't have it,
that's fine. I figured you did.
It's been submitted with the initial package.
I bet they were. I apologize, because I've got the
We
recent.
changing drainage.
Okay, so the drainage calcs were in there, so it's off very similar prior to it. So I retract that. The drainage calcs were, there was two submittals that come in. One was the initial submittal, drainage calcs were there, as required, for the detention that showed. And when the resubmittal came in, nothing changed on drainage calcs, so that stayed the same. So they were submitted, found to be compliant, and the comments that you have before you is what was addressed initially during our review and then resubmitted by Mr. Vick.
For what I'm gathering then, the landscaping would almost be a redundancy, because it almost naturally has...
It would on that side, that's correct, yes, sir. It would on that side. They indicated that there would be no dumpster on site. Of course, dumpster per our code requires screening. And I haven't been out to the site in a while, so I'm not sure if that's changed at all, Mr. Anderson. So that was indicated in Mr. Vick's reply as well. And Mr. Anderson is proposing to build an additional structure of the same square footage as the structure that's on site. That's the reason the site plan came before the Planning Commission, to be reviewed for site compliance.
I have no more questions from anyone from the commission?
Robert, I think Mr. Anderson would like to speak about all the rock and the drainage, if you don't mind.
That's perfectly fine.
Fine. Yes, sir.
How y'all doing today?
Fine.
I'm surviving. One of the things that we have is on the site plan is the retention pond, and the rock around there. Asking to look at that and reconsider retention pond. We have almost 7 acres there, land, the drainage, and we can put something around the building, whether it be rock or shrubs or whatever y'all need as far as drainage there. But as a small business owner, I think it's pretty harsh to put a retention pond there at this point in time. The building that we're going to add is 2,400 square feet. And I know per code, that's what is called out. And I'm asking for y'all to reconsider that, considering that any runoff that we have will be on our own property.
Right.
So you have 7 acres, right?
6.76 acres. It's a little under 7 acres.
You're saying your new stormwater runoff will be on your own land?
Yes, ma'am.
About where your department on this?
If it's okay with the board, Mr. Jack Crowe from Lawson Associates will speak to the particulars of drainage, and Mr. Fisher's here as well to speak.
I would just ask that he could provide that all of the runoff would be contained on his property in some form. That's pretty much all I have on that comment.
That wouldn't necessarily have to be a retention pond or anything.
I'm not a civil engineer, but I would have to ask my civil engineer when we have on staff about that.
Is that in the zoning ordinance at all? Or is that just part of the plan that they provided?
Stormwater drainage
Is part of the,
yes, I mean, you have to accommodate on any site that's built on, accommodation for storm drainage.
it doesn't say what kind of accommodation?
Just, it has to be maintained on one's own property. What I recall from the code, don't necessarily call out specific retention areas, retention ponds, but it does speak to specifically retaining your own property. Now,
Go ahead.
you know, I realize you've got substantial acreage there, and contour of the land is, you know, going to dictate some of that runoff. Making the assumption, I'm not an engineer, and if Mr. Vick wants to, would like to speak to that in more specificity, he can do that. But for the acreage size there, you know, a detention area is engineered to control the stormwater runoff that you have from the site. Anytime you change a site, as we all know, and make pervious, make impervious surface pervious, you're going to have additional stormwater runoff. So that was the intention, I assume, of the engineer, to accommodate any additional runoff that might be caused from the site in general. Now, and I apologize, Mr. Black, who is the civil portion of Lawson Associates, he did not supply any comments to this. To my knowledge, he was made aware of this specific plan. So that being said, there was no comments that I could base anything from, in direct relation to what's called out in the plan. And if there is a manageable way to control stormwater runoff, I would say, short of a retention area, then Mr. Vick could possibly address that to the effect. I'm not for sure. I'm not speaking for Mr. Vick. I'm more questioning than I am anything. So, if the board would like to hear more from the engineer in reference to the plan, I think that would be better information for y'all, because I'm certainly not a civil engineer.
I'm Gerald Vick, I'm with WS Engineering Surveyors in Columbia. We designed this detention pond to meet the requirements of Mount Pleasant's ordinance, what their requirements are. Not saying you can't do it a different way. This is, this is one way that can be done. I have not explored any other options because this is the direction that we went. It's my understanding the ordinance says that you have to retain any increase that's created with your development. That's what this has been designed to do.
So there's no other way around.
My interpretation of the ordinance is that you have to do this. If the board says that this site's small enough that it should not require that, that would be, somebody else's decision. All I can do is is read what ordinance the city has put together and say this is what we got to do based on that information.
So right now, there's not anyone that can tell us, they didn't do this, how it would be handled?
I would say that it would not be handled. It might stay on site, it may not stay on the site. That would be something that would have to be determined. I mean, he's got a large area of land, but, we've only, reviewed it in relation to, what runoff comes off of the building.
Building and the gravel lot.
Right, well, what I mean is of the proposed construction, in relation to the proposed construction.
If we load and unload from the existing building, I have access to the existing building, be able to, because all this is a warehouse for material only. So if I have the ability to bring the material in and load it into the warehouse, and if that would allow me, with y'all's permission, to remove some of the gravel, I mean, would that ease some of the pressure?
I'm not an engineer,
We would have to redesign it, reanalyze it, but, I mean, if you don't want access around that building, that would definitely reduce your impact to it.
So, is that an option? I mean,
It's an option to look at a redesign. I mean, and I'm sure all I'm telling you is that this was designed based on our conversation and,
per their code.
And per their code, we have to detain a certain amount of water on site, make sure that it doesn't run off the property at a greater rate than it did before. And that's how we've come to this point. If you reduce your, the impervious area you're creating, then you certainly would be reducing the runoff. As far as access to the building, I don't think that there's anything that we did that said you had to do it one particular way. You just have, this was per our conversation.
So
Is it all helpful if you look at alternative ways for the drainage? I mean, sure sure that you guys would be,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
What I would recommend you do is ask them to approve it as is,
Mhm.
and then if we need to come back with a revised plan, then we do that.
That's what I said.
They would have to approve any plan that you do.
Okay.
So if we approve this, then, you know, we can come back with another plan if they decide, you know, if you want to reduce some of that, fix it like that.
Is that okay with you
That's,
guys?
it's between the issues there. We had to look at something else on that.
Okay.
Because I don't redesign them, you know, once we approve this, the redesign, come back to us.
And that also might not hold you the building inspection. Then we can look at the options as far as what we can do to reduce that area.
That would be great.
so you do want them to consider approving it as is?
Yes.
But I don't think we're gonna do that, but then bring it back to us with the redesign.
Well, if they redesign it, they'll have to bring it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to bring it back if he makes a change to
They
it.
move
That way,
forward. If they want to build it this way, they can. If they want to resubmit it,
Yes.
that work codes also.
Chairman, do you mind if I speak? for
Not a
just
problem,
moment?
not a problem.
All right, I happen to know Shane and his wife Tammy very well, and I'm gonna speak from having been the chairman of the planning commission some year or so ago, and Robert, we all agreed that we were gonna make some mistakes, and we've tried to handle those appropriately because of the mass zoning and planning changes that we made, and I'm gonna speak from, just somebody that's got an interest in this because of being mayor of the city of Mount Pleasant. This gentleman's gonna build a building, it's gonna cost about $10,000, he's gonna have to spend $75,000 if we're gonna follow what this zoning calls for. And I'm sorry, but we made a mistake. We went too far. And that's another example of it, where we've had to go back and do re-changes of zoning, where we inadvertently changed people's zoning and didn't realize we had done that. And I can tell you what Mr. Anderson has agreed to do, talking to me, is to come around this building with a nice, wide riprap area, so when the water does come off of the building, that it disperses and goes out across his 6.76 acres. And if you go out and you look at the terrain of the property, it's gonna go downhill. And he has 6 acres for that to go across. Now, I understand you can't approve that today, and I completely get that. But I just want everybody to understand, I think we need to step back when we realize that we've maybe stepped a little too far, and help a young man out and help somebody out that's trying to bring an industry to our community that's going to employ people, that will be paying property tax, personal property tax, employee taxes, and a number of other things. So I understand we can't approve it tonight, or you can't approve it tonight, but I just ask that as it goes forward, that when we see these type of instances, that we do all we can as a commission, being this, and then as it comes to us, that we do all we can. I mean, we're not going,
I don't think we're up here,
well, I'm not saying we go back to good old boy
to
systems,
running
but
businesses out here, we're gonna listen to all.
I know, and if that's what we need to bring back, I think that's very, but please understand, I don't think you're gonna see $75,000 worth of rock work to build a 10,000 square foot building, or $10,000 building. So I've said my piece, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Robert, you got any comment?
I would just like to say that, based on the plans that were given and the drainage calcs, as long as we have those, our civil engineer looked at these and okayed it as is. By taking away that drainage, and most of the times in these city ordinances, those are the bare minimums for the state, and those design criterias for TDEC to build these detention ponds, I would have to further review the state and TDEC in order to say anything beyond getting rid of this pond. Our engineers know what's going on. I'm sure
Mr. Vick.
Mr. Vick can attest to that, but, I just wanted to state that, so.
I appreciate that, you know, that the guidelines for the ordinance come from, it wasn't just something that we created, you know, so, and I'm currently, the company I work for, we have a property that's twice the size, and we were forced to put in a $500,000 bio-detention pond. So, those mandates also come from TDEC. TDEC owns every drop of water that falls in this state. That's right. That's their claim. So, we have to handle how their water falls on our property, we have to handle how that's dispersed. And there's minimum guidelines for that. So, I mean, I would say the property could be reworked to lessen that burden, but at the same time, that burden has to be met. And it's not just our guidelines, City of Mount Pleasant guidelines, it comes from other places. So, I mean, it's a tough pill, but
Yeah, I'm having,
that bio-detention pond also had, you know, special weeds and crayfish, so it got rather costly.
probably got any other comments?
No, sir, I mean, I think it's all been stated, you know, if the intention is to rework and look at other avenues for stormwater retention, I suppose Mr. Vick and Mr. Anderson will be working together on that. You know, a revision that comes back to this planning commission incurs another fee. Just so the audience and everybody knows that. So any revisions to the site plan coming back by ordinance incurs another fee. So, you know, I just want to make note that everybody completely understands that and the fact that, you know, stormwater drainage, as Mr. Crowe spoke, it's required, but not only by us. Mr. Hirman spoke, by the state as well, so. If there's other ways to accommodate that flow, great, and it might be beneficial to look into those avenues.
Further discussion? I hear a motion to approve the site plan review.
I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan as submitted.
Motion's been made to approve the site plan as submitted. Need a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, number 9, old business.
There is none, Chair.
Number 10, other business.
No, sir.
Number 11, board and staff comments.
There are none, thank you.
Any citizen comments?
I do.
Bill, you want me to keep you on here?
I've said my piece.
Mark him off.
Shirley Webster, mark yourself off. Number 3, Constance Mann. You good? All right, Webster, this is Samantha. You good?
Can I ask a quick question, Chairman? Corey, are you okay with, this is new to me, that we passed this, knowing that they have to come back and revise it? That wasn't in the minutes?
Well, this one is the one that passed, so that they can go forward with this plan if they want to, if they
I
want
got
to
you.
submit a
They
new
want to go to a
revision.
lesser.
Mhm.
Okay.
They
Just to
have
make
to-
sure that you're okay. Gotcha. To make sure that everything's on the same page.
Number 13, adjournment. I hear a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second? Second. Motion been made. All those in favor? Aye. Adjournment.